welcome back to the channel, Gaming for XP. We're just about finished the docks project. Today we'll finish off all these houses down here, and we have a little building to do on the pier, and we should be pretty close to the tour. Thanks so much for all your comments and your likes that you left on the last video. You seem to like the idea of building under the bridge at Sanctuary, and maybe it's something that a number of you should try. I'd love to see if you did what you end up coming up with. Just a different part of Sanctuary I thought was worth trying to do some builds. So what we're doing here is we're just building a little bit of a rickety bridge. You've seen me do this before if you've watched a number of the videos before, so that we can lead through to that final area where the water treatment station is. Pretty easy concept, and we're just using some of those pillars and a couple of the floorboards and not much else, so it's a pretty easy. So we're going to build into this area right in front of us here. I've got an idea what I want to put in there, and hopefully it'll be on the end of this video here. It's not going to be anything too complicated. If I can get it done in time, I will put it up on this video. If not, it will be, you'll see it in the final tour. So that's just doing some prep work to build something going out there. Today though, we're going to concentrate on building in this corner here, just blocking it up. And I'm a great believer in utilising as much space as you like, and what we build here actually turns out much better than I ever thought it would. And basically because I was just completely ad-libbing this build, wasn't quite sure what I was going to build, but I just started putting some pieces together and it does turn out really great. So use these end caps, put them together like that, and we're just trying to create just an additional kind of room or an additional living space just under here, using some pieces that I wouldn't normally use or haven't normally used in the past. So and I wanted to try, and the challenge I had here was just to try and use them in a way that I hadn't seen before, and just really experimental, but that's where a lot of your best builds will come from. And hopefully this is going to cooperate and bounce and drop into there. For some reason it wants to flick up and clip in a strange place, but we will get it in eventually. There we go. That's that. And now we've got a little room, a little bedroom in there. Now I apologise, I'm not sure if you can hear that, but there's some weird bird outside the window here making its presence known, so if you can hear that, I apologise. So that's probably not going to fit. And that was the real challenge of building under the bridge here, is to try and see what would fit in here, what wouldn't. But I think once you see the final walkthrough, you'll see that this really does work. And it's not something that I've really tried a lot, I must admit, but it's something I will be trying a lot in the future, I think, is to try and just put some of these end caps together and just see what we can end up coming up with. So we're just going to go for the real easy solution there. We're just putting a floor down, and we'll put some kind of wall on there, see what fits. And with a lot of this, it really is what will fit into that gap there. It's always the challenge of building kind of in really tight areas. See, that's far too long, so that's not going to work. So we probably need these shorter walls, or maybe these half walls or something. Just that these half walls are probably great, should fit in there. So it's obviously there's a whole lot of stuff interfering with that, and it means it won't clip, so I'm going to have to persuade it into place, but that's okay. We'll just ease it into place and use place anywhere. And again, as in the spirit of what we've done in the past, I'm not going to do too much more with that. I'm going to leave it as is. I don't think it needs a roof or anything like that. I think it's just a little corner area, and I think it works like that. Now while we're figuring out what we want to do next and how we're going to link that into the whole structure, I will warn you that if you are building under the bridge here at Sanctuary, be very careful what you're placing down around the place, especially in the water. Now, it seems to be okay when you're building the kind of structures that I'm about to show you and building housing, but however, if you put something like a barrel or a box or something down, it suddenly, and I've had this happen a couple of times to me now, it can cause a huge frame rate drop, and to the point where you're virtually, you'd be lucky if you're getting 1 frame per second in this area, and it will extend quite a far way up the hill towards the main area of Sanctuary. So just be warned, if you place kind of items down here, it could potentially cause you some issues. So we're just working at a little bridging area here to try and bridge, of course, that gap so that this is a area that you can get into, because obviously it's sitting around the side there and it's separate from the main 2 or 3 areas to right in front of you and to the right. So we're just improvising somehow to see what we can come up with. Now, here's a trick I use quite a bit, and it is I use these crates just to act as a little stair, just like that. So if you've got that little bit of a step that you need to plug, this is a good tip for you, just to use a crate like that, and it will allow you just to step straight on. You see how that suddenly is clipping, and now you can just step straight up to it. We'll just drop that down a little bit, and these things do tend to sit up like it did, so just make sure that they are actually sitting nice in the water. And those platforms come from G2M mod. I think also you might find them in vanilla extensions. Certainly G2M has them. And then all we have to do really is just plug this gap. Now, this isn't quite long enough. You can see there's just a little bit of a gap there, which is not a major drama, because we'll use some of that plywood just to fill that gap in. And you know, with these kind of bridges, it really doesn't matter too much, because it has that kind of scrappy self-made look about it, so it really doesn't matter if you use lots of little elements to build this. I wanted to do it more this way rather than, you know, like a nice clean bridge that looked very uniform and stuff, but I don't think doing that actually sells the overall look. So have some fun with this, guys, and make these little bridges all over the place. It is good fun to just vary them up and use lots of different elements to do this with. Oh, that's fine. Of course, you may fall into the water a bit, because they do take a bit of navigating, and we just probably need a stair right on the end here just to get up onto the main platform underneath. Just doing a bit anti-shimmer. Obviously I'll make the decision that, yeah, that's not quite right for us. So this has been a really good project. It's actually, the builds have gone longer than I thought they would, but that's okay. We'll get a tour in next video, and then it's on to phase 2, which I've already got a good idea what I want to do in phase 2. And you can see I'm just playing around with a whole lot of elements here to try and get this right. That actually works nicely, just like that. So we'll maybe put a step in there. Just these little wooden ones, that should fit just a bit. It should just about fit perfectly there, size wise. There we go, fantastic. There you go, and we're on. Excellent. And you can see a fall in the water. So there you go, a nice little shack in there, and we can make that into a nice living area, and we can fall off the bridge once more. So I was looking at this area here, and I had an idea from Far Harbour, from the timber yard in Far Harbour in actual fact, this idea came because I saw this, it just, I don't know what it was, but this area just wasn't right. So I thought what I decided to do here is I decided to put a little information booth in here and up on the pier, so that if you need any assistance, this is the place to go. So I'm just switching the collision off so I can get this into place. I'm probably going to have to switch the snapping off as well. As you can see, it just wants to snap everywhere at the moment. I do have to move a whole lot of things out here to get this to work. And it's a pretty simple design, this one. Yeah, snapping is off, so I need to switch it back on now. It is a pretty simple design. In reality, I'll probably make it a bit too big, so hence why I'm scaling the wall down just a fraction. When I looked at this a little bit later, I do have an idea how I could actually have made it a little bit differently, but for now this will do fine. The only thing you got to remember is you got to rescale this as well, so it all fits. Luckily, all the other parts fit onto it, and it's a really basic design. It's like two walls, a roof, and then just put a counter in the front, and you're done. So it's not hard, but it does. Again, this is the kind of things that will add a lot of interest to your builds, and lots of little details is really what sells the overall look of a settlement. So we'll just quickly throw this all into place, and we'll be done. You can see I'm just keen to have that up the top just to frame it a little bit better. I think it just looks a bit plain if I just put a roof on there, so I want to put this in here just like that, and just keep that corrugated iron look. I want it too far up because it will interfere with the roof as well, and once we put the counter in there, it's all going to work nicely. Let's get the roof on, single roof, click. Yep. And there you go. That could be a storage shed, it could be a whole lot of things that you could utilise it for. Like I said, it's just going to be an internet information booth for now. And I just want to put a quick back wall on, and because that was giving me some difficulty snapping before, I'm just going to use these half walls. That's probably going to be enough. I probably don't need the last one just to block it off and block that window out. And pretty much the only other thing to do here is put the counter in, move a few things around, and we can move on to the last little piece of the build. There we go, and that fits perfectly in there. And, there we go. It could be a shop, it could be an information booth, it could be whatever you like it to be. And I'm really liking using this kind of piece as a doorway rather than a designated doorway. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to walk in and see how it looks, how I feel it looks in the flow and the look everything, and it does lead your eyes straight into the settlement, so like it a lot. And so onto the last piece, just down by the water here, just getting the build menu. I don't know why that barrel's floating in midair, but we'll just get rid of that. And we're going to make a little fisherman's kind of area in here for just so they can fish off a little dock or something up in here. So I'm going to use G2M mod for now, and I'm going to use these floating barrels. Now I could have put that in, it's a bit big, so we'll use these, and we'll just use that as a kind of bridge. Now I will move this, so I'm going to skip ahead for a second. Now I did have some ideas here what I could do. I'll play around with them. I end up reconfiguring this a little bit here, but as you'll see in the kind of final build bit, this is a really easy kind of little structure to put up. I must admit I'm not 100% happy with it, but once I got it decorated, it actually all makes sense. So you'll see that in the final tour. And the other thing I didn't realise was the amount of space I have in front of me here. So this has been a bit special, but sitting down in here, but we get there. Just like that, and we can clip one off it just like that. See in the front there's a whole lot of area I can build in the river, so I may come back to that at some point. Maybe when we do the foreshore I will do that. I don't need that one now, so I'm going to move this across and down. And then in fact I push this back, but it actually ends up where I just put it there in the end, and we just plug that gap with a plank of wood. Pretty simple stuff. And so the idea is just somewhere where people can come and relax and just do a little bit of fishing on the river here in this area. Not overly complicated. So how we're going to do this, I'm going to put a wall in a second, just to allow me to get the roof to clip on. Now you'll see in a second my snapping is just a bit weird at the moment, because that wants to snap off to the side. For some reason it's been doing that a little bit lately. Just drag it across so it clips there, and we can just chuck a roof on there. We're going to use those metal ones, the sloped metal roof. Just got to find the right one here. That one there should just clip nicely onto that, like that, and we can remove that. There we go. Put some supports in, and so this is a little fishing area, a little dock area. Very, very simple. And essentially it's just a roof, a couple of posts so that it looks supported. Make sure that those actually clip under the roof. Sometimes they don't clip properly and it looks unsupported. That one on the right is actually not quite clipped in properly, but which I'll fix a little bit later. And I'm just going to throw some railings around here, just like that. That doesn't work there because you can't get on, because we've got that offset a little bit. But you could, if you put it in the right place, you could put a railing there just to make it look a little bit different. When you look at this visually, it doesn't look all that flash, but once you get it decorated, I promise you it looks okay. So I'm just going to use these shark end caps just to give this a little bit of a wall. Just maneuver them into place. These are good. I use them a lot when I'm building, and I'm conscious of trying to get this to look all kind of similar and all working with the houses that we just built under the bridge, and obviously that water treatment plant right in front of us. I want it all to kind of blend into each other. Now that part that I was talking about in front right there, we will build probably off to the right when we do stage 2 or phase 2 of the docks build. We'll see how we go. Couple of railing systems in here, not there. I want them to go on the side there actually, because that's where the guys are going to be fishing from. So put them there and there. Take that out. And then I'm going to use some of these junk walls just to block up this area here. You've seen me do this in the last video. And pretty much we are done for this area. So guys, that is pretty much it for the docks phase 1. When you come back, the very next video that I'm going to do will be the tour of what we've made so far, and then beyond that we'll get into the second phase, which is going to, as I've said previously, that's going to be the foreshore area, and we'll start to build the foreshore area up and see what happens. So guys, thanks for watching this episode. Thanks for all the support, it really does mean a lot. I appreciate it. And we will talk to you next time on the channel. See ya.